Hello, I'm Brian from the channel Brian, and it's finally here! Another new Marvel movie! We only got one in 2024, so it was a bad year for people who prefer content over movies. This one is called Captain America: Brave New World. While only the fourth Captain America movie, it is 9 years removed from the technical last installment of the series, Captain America: Civil War. And in that nearly decade-long gap, the hold Marvel has on pop culture and just the quality of movies being made has dramatically changed for the worse. It's a cliche by now to point that out, but whether it's Thor: Love and Thunder, the third Ant-Man, or the grating and obnoxious Deadpool and Wolverine, Marvel just cannot dig itself out of this post-Endgame hole, which we should be well past giving them slack for. That movie came out 6 years ago. And that's not even counting all the Disney Plus shows, which, while I haven't seen, I can't remember the last time I heard something positive about. The occasional Guardians of the Galaxy 3 or Spider-Man: No Way Home haven't really slowed down the franchise's decline much, and don't even reach the MCU's peak to begin with. It'd be kind of insane to think this movie would move the needle back towards the MCU being good, because Brave New World came with a worrying amount of reshoots, plot changes, and delays. I feel like every couple months some new article would drop about how things were going so poorly they've all but rebuilt the movie from the ground up. And I can't think of a movie in this genre where that's ever turned out well. Which remains true, since, yeah, all that effort was for a movie with absolutely no vision of what it wants to do or how it wants to get there. Plenty of ideas here have surely been taken across different drafts and rewrites, but all they do in practice is waste your time. This is a movie so bad at creating a sense of consequence to anything that happens, so flat in presenting one story beat moving on to the next. Not a single thing is here that could be construed as entertaining or satisfying. I'm likely beating a dead horse at this point, but I don't know who half of these characters are because I didn't watch the Falcon Disney Plus show, and I shouldn't have had to sign up for a streaming platform that lets Disney legally kill my wife in order to understand a movie. Disney will always try to re-explain the bare essentials of what you need to know for the Marvel story you're actually watching, but at this point, the MCU net has been cast too deep and too wide to reasonably expect anyone but the biggest Marvel obsessives to be engaged with anything that's happening anymore. Because when the story of Brave New World isn't hinged upon a character who only existed in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, it's making an understandably forgotten character from the Edward Norton Hulk movie the main villain, and expecting you to carry on like that's just business as usual. New Marvel movies have been whittled down to an essentialist list of content-perpetuating signifiers, a series of scenes to imply a MacGuffin or character will be in future content, only for that future content to not meaningfully explore what was promised, because most of the scenes in the sequel will be exposition for the new MacGuffin or character you're supposed to be excited for in the next thing. Rinse and repeat. They are constant promises of an adventure that never comes, but they swear will actually happen if you just buy a ticket to the next thing. Captain America 4 exists to be a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Eternals, but the only one which it adequately builds upon in the slightest being The Incredible Hulk for some reason. But Sam Wilson as Captain America is in the exact same place, character-wise, at the end of the film that he was at the start. Much like everything else apart from the content perpetuity checklist, the main character's character has been sidelined in the movie ostensibly about him. Somewhere in the threaded remnants of previous drafts is an attempt to recapture the political thriller pastiche of the previous two Captain America movies. You even see them kind of attempt to replicate the dynamic of Cap, Falcon, and Natasha from all the way back in The Winter Soldier, but it's like the later Expendables movies, where the actors you've heard of don't want to be in the movies anymore, so it stars one guy you care about and a supporting cast of bumfuck nobodies in their orbit. Each of Cap's new friends handpicked by the military entertainment complex whose cock this movie throats so deeply the prick is dissolving in its stomach acid. Falcon Jr. or whoever feels like he got lost on the way to the set of Top Gun Maverick and nobody corrected him. The IDF widow, or whoever the fuck that was, had arms thinner than a Coke can, was 6 inches shorter than Sabrina Carpenter, but could still effortlessly throw around grown men. I'm okay with a little artistic licensing there, of course, but fuck you. Now that Marvel is making movies based on second and third string characters, each with their own roster of sidekicks and peripheral heroes, every movie, it's like a whole new ensemble of characters they're expecting you to find memorable off-rip just cause they're there. The MCU is having enough trouble nudging all the main characters' stories forward. Stop adding new ones! Even when Brave New World breaks from the content perpetuity checklist and attempts the bare minimum of normal things a good MCU movie should do, like creating likable characters and getting some fun interactions out of them, that's all scuffed too. Take the action scenes as another example. I don't know if this is because of the reshoots or what, but they're probably the most disappointing aspect of this movie because, damn, this is your selling point, the action. This is what's supposed to make the cliches and endless exposition worth it. The part you should be able to have fun with regardless of your familiarity with Marvel. And it's the most basic shit that would have been uncreative and bland 20 years ago. By the time Brave New World has an action scene that's not shaky cam of Cap fighting 4 dudes in like a dark hallway, here's some of the shit Winter Soldier did. Even the climax, the big Captain America versus Red Hulk showdown the movie's built around, it's not great. Really, this is a fight between Temu versions of characters the audience would rather see together. Imagine if the fight between Tim Roth and Edward Norton's Hulk was the climax of that movie, and you've a pretty good idea of how this fight goes. The amount of effort and care that went into a disposable second act action scene 2 decades ago is what we get for our climax today. It gives the impression Marvel's working with a severe lack of resources, even though this cost $180 million. The effects, once again, look unfinished, down to the CGI backgrounds of normal outdoor locations. So much, though, that is independent of budget gives the same rushed feeling too. The cinematography is just horrible. It's not like a sequence will even be demanding with its camera work, as most of the dialogue scenes have no blocking. Even a simple shot reverse shot will just look like shit for some reason. Julius Onah doesn't have a great track record as a director, so I don't know whether to blame him, the reshoots, or the rushed production schedule the most, but I blame all of them. Brave New World is another regressively bland, unspecial, and boring Marvel movie that, to begin with, has its priorities basically anywhere but the story that's right in front of you. I'm giving it a 3 out of 10.